We're going to keep the evening going. Up next, we have a conversation with the Teacher and Student of the Year. Yes, that's right. Personally, I think I deserve Teacher of the Year for teaching my dad how to use Instagram, but, it was not up to me. Really, these are awards presented by Chegg, so we're really excited to welcome Chegg's 2021 Global Teacher Prize winner, Keishia Thorpe. She's an English teacher at International High School, Langley Park in Maryland. Yep, let's have a round of applause for her. And joining us via Zoom from across the world, we have Chegg's 2021 Global Student Prize winner, Jeremiah Thoronka. He's a 21-year-old student from Freetown, Sierra Leone, and founder of Optim Energy that's working to create renewable energy from vehicle and foot traffic. He's created a new renewable energy source. So what are we all doing? He'll be joining us virtually, so we're really excited to have him. And I'm going to turn things over to Dan Rosensweig, who is the CEO of Chegg. So I'm going to let a video play, and they're going to come on out for a great conversation. So give it up.
A Chegg.org Global Student Prize.
A global contest.
The winner is Jeremiah Thoronka from Sierra Leone.
I am delighted to congratulate Jeremiah Thoronka. It's Sierra Union.
Over the last few years, I've developed a 5-year plan wherein I want to touch the lives of 100,000 people and making sure that access to energy is a guarantee.
Keishia Thorpe from the United States has just won the Varkey Foundation Global Teacher Prize 2021 for her work teaching low-income immigrants.
She won the $1 million Global Teacher Prize.
Don't let your past affect your future.
My students are the reason I'm here, and if I don't think about how I can use that to elevate them and to also create a better future for them, who am I without my students?
Jeremiah, can you hear us okay?
Loud and clear, I can hear you all.
Okay. By the way, Jeremiah is that nice to me because we gave him a $100,000 student prize, which is nothing compared to Keishia. So I want to introduce you to Keishia, the Teacher of the Year. And Jeremiah, the Student of the Year, the first inaugural ever Student of the Year. So congratulations to both of them. As Chris said, I'm Dan Rosensweig, CEO of Chegg, and I have the honor of introducing both these extraordinary human beings to you. Chegg has been very involved in supporting both the Teacher Prize, and this year started in conjunction with the Varkey Foundation, the inauguration of the Student Prize, because Chegg's view is we focus on the student, and without both of them, there's no learning going to happen. And we wanted to find a way to spotlight students from around the world to have the opportunity to show that no matter where you come from, no matter what your circumstance, what your background, you can accomplish anything with the right support and the right tools and the right guidance, but mostly through the efforts of yourself and your family and your community. To go along with the incredible Teacher Prize, which is remarkable because what it does is it highlights the challenges that educators have and the strength and the conviction and the stick-to-itness necessary to be able to make a difference. So I'm just truly thrilled to be able to do this. I want to start and turn it over to these remarkable people. I want to start with Keishia first, because I know once I talk to Jeremiah, who I talk to regularly, he's just going to go on about all the things that need to be invented in the world that he's capable of doing, and he probably is, because he's incredible. So Keishia, first of all, welcome, and thank you, and congratulations.
Well, thank you so much for having me here today. I'm ecstatic. Let's go.
Tell me about this guy.
This guy, last year, November, I actually won the Global Teacher Prize, which 2021, which is for a teacher who is making a change in students' lives and also really creating social impact inside and outside of the classroom through my work and through my practices.
And your foundation, which we'll get into shortly.
Yes.
Because you've not only put your effort and intellect into this, but also money and community. Now, you are an immigrant that came from Jamaica.
Yes.
And I think it's important for people to understand the incredible journey and why you see, as you said to me, you are the living embodiment of the American dream.
Yes, I am. I come from very impoverished circumstances in Jamaica. My grandmother raised my sister and I am a twin. And we didn't have much, but my grandmother really wanted us to have an education because she believed in the transformative power of education. And she herself did not have passed a functional education. And so it was very important for her to make sure that we understand the value of education. And so she did her best to make sure that we aspired to go to college. And in high school, I received a track and field scholarship. That was kind of like my vehicle out of poverty, I would say, and also my vehicle to higher education because she was unable to pay for higher education for us. And so with that, my sister and I really took the opportunity to come here to America and really use the resources and tools and just take on all the opportunities that we see at our disposal. And we worked really, really hard. And when I say I'm the true embodiment of the American dream, I always want to say that, the American dream is here for anyone who wants to obtain it. As long as you're willing to work really hard, you can achieve it.
I think people should also know, Keishia, that you teach a very distinctive group of people. English is a second language, overwhelmingly immigrants, and 95% of them identify as below the poverty line. So tell us why you chose, and you do 12th grade. So these are kids that are either going to go either on to additional higher education or some other pathway, hopefully constructive, but not always. So tell us how you found yourself in this critical moment in immigrants' lives.
Well, initially when I went to college, I wanted to pursue a law degree. However, I kind of pivoted because I had an opportunity to work with students of color in and around the Washington, D.C. area in public schools, and I realized that their circumstances mirrored the circumstances I was coming from, and I really wanted to create a pathway of success for them, and I really wanted to be the person that inspired them and motivated them, and also use myself as a model for them to show them what education can do. And it really empowered me to want to go back and transform their lives and to pass on that legacy of education to those students. And so when I really thought about my immigrant experiences and the students that I actually would be able to have a relationship with and the social impact I would make in my students' lives, I really thought about teaching students who are immigrants like myself because we had shared stories, we had shared experiences, and I was able to relate to them better. And also, I felt that I had an obligation to make sure that I meet their needs as well because I knew what my challenges were. And students come with so many different barriers, their language barriers, cultural barriers, trauma. A lot of them have interrupted education. And for me, because I'm aware of those, it's very easier for me to empathize with them and be able to meet their needs and meet them where they are. And so the students I teach right now are 100% English language learners. They're all refugees and immigrants from different countries, about 20 different countries, and they speak about 30 different languages.
So one of the many remarkable things that you have done, I think it's wonderful to hear you articulate you had a lens of empathy that could connect to people where maybe a traditional learning experience in America may not be relevant because a lot of the educators or the school systems are not designed for this group of individuals who have such different set of circumstances. And you actually created your own curriculum called the Cultural Responsive Practice in Social and Emotional Learning. as you described it to me, I think it's absolutely wonderful, but maybe you can sort of distill it down, because I think your success record with these kids is remarkable, and I think this is core to it.
Yes. Because of the special population of students, and also because of their learning challenges and their linguistic barriers, I wanted to make sure that, in today's, in the 21st century classroom, we want to make sure that we're preparing our students to be global citizens, make sure that they are solution-oriented, they're problem solvers, and also really to identify their voices in the classroom. Today, we also have a higher population of minorities and immigrant students in our classroom, which makes it a lot more diverse. So we have to bring all of those voices together in the classroom and teach that level of empathy, tolerance, respect, from a global perspective. And if we want our students to become globally competent, cultural competence and social emotional learning is definitely key to that, because students have to learn how to tolerate each other and learn how to work together collaboratively, and just really learn how to think about world problems, social justice issues, and take action. Using culturally responsive practices allow me to also bring students' background into the classroom so that they feel valued and respected and they feel acknowledged. And when they feel that sense of belonging, they don't feel like outsiders anymore. Social emotional learning, teaching them self-awareness, self-management, how to make the responsible decisions. And all of these skills are skills that they take outside of the classroom. You turn theory into practice, make learning very relevant and practical for students, and giving them the skills, because not all of our students are going to desire to have higher education. So how can we upskill our students to be able to perform and live productive lives, sustainable productive lives in their community after they graduate high school?
So I think you can see that Keishia has decided that the best way to help people who have immigrated here, who are below the poverty line, is to respect, to empathize, to understand, to connect to them in a way that makes them feel connected not only to the learning, but to the United States.
And their community.
And their communities in particular. But you also have gone yet another step to try to make it a debt-free experience should they choose to go on. So you want to tell us a little bit about your non-for-profit?
So my sister, Dr. Keishia Thorpe, and I created a nonprofit organization called US Elite International. One of the things that we wanted to make sure that students had the opportunity to have better life chances by offering them, by giving access to opportunities that allow them to have a debt-free college education, because we think that higher education is so important. Again, not all students are going to desire to go to college, but we have to acknowledge that when students actually go to college, they are able to create more opportunities for themselves and create pathways of success for themselves, and they actually have more options. You know, in the US, there are about 28% of students in the US are from immigrant families, and about 33% of those immigrants who go to college obtain a bachelor or higher degree. So, you know, I think sometimes we do not think that immigrant students aspire to go to college, and so we don't readily create those pathways for them. But
well, you go even a little bit further, because out of the 500 students or so that you have helped, so the graduation rate in U.S. higher education is about 43%. When you eliminate the not for, you know, the elite schools, it's over 50% don't finish.
Yeah.
Your record is 90% go on and get a degree. So these, just to put an emphasis on this, these are the most at-risk students. English is their second language. They've immigrated here, may or may not have support in the home necessarily, but they're at greater risk. They have the most diverse classrooms that you can possibly imagine.
Yes.
And they're all identified, 95% identify below the poverty line, and yet this is the success you've been able to have. So I think it's no wonder that the very first time you applied for the Global Teacher Prize, you won it. So I just want to congratulate you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So we're going to come back to you in a second, because I see Jeremiah's looking good. So Jeremiah is the inaugural student prize winner, and of all the applications we got, once you had a chance to read Jeremiah's, it was very clear what makes him so special, so distinct, so unique. So Jeremiah grew up in the Sierra Leone. He was born into a civil war, incredible poverty, violence, lack of government institutions, lack of support, lack of belief in education or the future. And so Jeremiah had a very complicated, difficult beginning, but has risen up to be a leader, not only in his country, but in the world. So Jeremiah, why don't you take us a little bit through your journey, and then we could talk about what you're doing in the classroom and out of the classroom.
Okay, hello everyone. Nice to be here with you all today. Just like I've been introduced, I'm Jeremiah Thoronka. Quite a bit about my background. I'm currently into energy systems development, policy engagement, trying to draw more youth at the forefront of the conversation and the development process. And more especially, us developing locally sustainable solutions. So basically, that's a bit about my background. I'm from Sierra Leone, and it's an amazing place. Yeah.
So he's very humble. And I mean that because what he hasn't told you is he grew up in the most difficult of circumstances. Poverty was overwhelming, but also no power, no electricity. And as we all know, our life's journeys, our lenses, all affect the way we see things and the kinds of people that we can empathize with and help. And let me just give you a little bit of an indication of what Jeremiah chose to do, and then I'd love you to explain to Jeremiah. Jeremiah realized that there was no opportunity and there was no chance to get an education, not only for himself, but for his entire community, unless they had power. It's hard to learn when there's no power. So this brilliant young man decided to use the two things that they have, which is traffic and sports. And Jeremiah built a device that takes the traffic patterns and the road and the noise from sports stadiums and uses it to power his entire village. Just to tell you the difference between Jeremiah and I, I've been married 34 years and I'm not even allowed to change a light bulb in my own home. So Jeremiah, tell us the inspiration, tell us the brilliance behind it, tell us why you felt, just like Keishia, that your journeys were designed to be community-based, not individual-based, which is so unique, I think, and so differentiated and so valuable. So perhaps you want to share why you felt so urgently to give back to the community at such a young age.
So basically what happened was a lot of things were basically not working in my community. Most of the time, like development in most places centralized around places where the tourists don't normally go, or places where, quote and unquote, authorities think this is the most lucrative areas for economic development. So finding myself in that community, at some point I had to come to the realization that we've been waiting a lot for people to come in and solve these challenges, but then how are we going to take ownership of our own problems and what we can do before people come in? So what happened was after I finished my primary school exams, I was opportune to get a scholarship to attend the best school in Sierra Leone, St. Edwards. So I had to be moving from the eastern part where my community is to the dead west, right, where my school was. So every day, it's like I'm moving from this totally dark place to this superbly amazing place, right? So it's like every morning and evening, I'm moving from one world to another. And funnily enough, St. Edwards, it's located in Kingdom, where the national power plant is. So basically electricity is very much convenient and all of that. But then my own community where I'm staying, it's considered to be a slum, and it was during that period when Sierra Leone started experiencing, what really climate change is. So you see flooding, people are cutting down almost the forest, all those things were happening. But then every day as I move in between those two worlds, I was like, okay, what am I going to do as Jeremiah, right? I may not have all the skills, but then some of the skills that I've learned along the way, how am I going to put them to test, right? So all the amazing things I've been told in classroom, that was also a perfect time for me to test if my teachers were actually sitting like the back. So we had like a school playing ground called Mid Park, right? There's a very big field in our school called Mid Park. So I met with some of my friends. I was like, okay, this is the perfect place for us to play. Instead of us to just come here to play, what if we also use like this playing ground to engage brainstorm and see what we can do? So I put together a team called the Maypark Scientists. So the Maypark, we got it from the school playing ground. And the scientist was that we wanted to look like scientists, basically. So we developed a hydro, right? A mini hydro. So the whole idea was fusing hydro technology and wind technology. So we call it the mini hydro dam. We tested it, it was amazing, but then serial operate on 3 weather conditions. So when we were moving in from the raining season, when there's so much water in the river, to the dry season, there was a dip in how much energy we were able to produce. So we were like, okay, this is not a sustainable way for us to go, because actually the whole idea was eliminating fossil fuel from whatever we were doing. So later, most of the team, like people traveled and all of that. So I started iterating and say, okay, what am I going to do next? So I developed a free energy generator. So basically, how the generator works is...
So Jeremiah, simply because of time and my lack of science degree, what I want to do is you can see why this young man is just so remarkable, but I want you to understand the impact of what he did rather than how to build it. So as I understand it, your Optimum Energy provides free electricity to over 1,500 people in your community, as well as 15 schools which teach over 9,000 students.
Yeah.
Now, Jeremiah started this when he was 17 years old. I'm not even sure they had invented electricity when I was 17. But somebody like Jeremiah, it's just not enough. Similar to Keishia, which it wasn't enough to go teach 12th graders. It wasn't enough to go teach, immigrant children. Then it wasn't enough to just develop curriculum. Had to develop scholarships for these people, these young kids. Jeremiah did the same thing. So he now wants to take what he's doing in terms of schools in the community and bring it into healthcare. So explain why healthcare is the next big step for you.
So basically, the whole idea of going into healthcare is very simple, right? Our population are exploding exponentially, right? Urbanization is going at an exponential rate, and the demand for energy above all is really putting our resources at the resource constraints that we are faced with. We stay in it every day. So basically, what I want to do is how are we going to make sure that we power all these healthcare systems sustainably? And the answer lies in the current urbanization trend that we have here. We have policies to control urbanization, but then what if instead of us to frown at this rapid urbanization happening, we also look at it from another angle and say, what if this is actually the missing field that we've been searching for all over the world? And the vibration that is produced from this rapid urbanization happening is found in every corner of the world. And one thing that is very much amazing about hospitals, or basically places of health-related activities, like they are crowded right around the clock. Right. So what if we install something in there that will tap into like this vibration and see how we can power this building sustainably?
So, so now you're now focused on studying energy sustainability in the UK to bring back, right? So I want to go back now to Keishia for a minute, because as we sort of wrap up here, I'd love to understand a couple of things. First, Keishia, what did winning the prize do? The goal of the prizes is to highlight and support those who are making a difference in their communities and globally, and put a spotlight on well-deserved people who historically don't get that spotlight. But tell us how it's impacted your ability to build your programs, to be successful. How many other folks have reached out that you've been able to expand as a result?
I really want to thank the Varkey Foundation for giving me this award, because what this does is it not just validates what I'm doing in my community, but it also validates what so many other teachers are doing, and I'm a representation of that. So many good work that they're doing across the globe to change students' lives and also just really change the landscape of education. What that does for me, it gives me a voice at the highest table. It puts me in conversation with policymakers. I'm able to, you have those days when you go to a school board meeting and they put the little timer on the watch and you have 2 minutes to say your piece and then beep and it goes off and then you leave wondering if they hear you. But this ability to actually sit in the room and also be a part of the conversation, to be included, to be asked what my thoughts are, I think that is priceless.
I mean, for those of you who don't look at all the statistics like we do at Chegg all the time, the average age of a college student in the United States now is 25 years old. That 26% of them already have children. 40% of them work 30 hours or more while they're going to school full time. And as I said earlier, 25% of them English is their second language, not their primary language. And so having someone like you have a seat at the table is exactly what America needs if we're ever going to have really change the education system. So before I go back to Jeremiah, I'll be there one sec, Jeremiah. Tell us, Keishia, what is the biggest obstacle that you need to burst through to get to the next level with all of the brilliant ideas that you have?
There are a lot of different education policies that is not all inclusive of our student population, our ever-changing diverse student population. And I would hope, I know that over the course of time, inclusivity and equity has been a main focus of a lot of different school districts, but I do think that there's a lot more to be done on that end. And I just want those who are making policies to make sure that they are more equitable, that they are more inclusive of our entire student population. We want to make sure that students who are not thinking about going to college still leave school with a skill.
And a pathway to success and optimism.
Yes, and a pathway to success. And we need to create those, especially those career technical programs. We need to give students more options, more learning options. And we see that in the COVID pandemic, that students need more learning options. There's no longer a teacher standing in front of the classroom, and students are no longer learning from books. And so we need to keep that in mind. And if we are going to have students be career ready, we need to start preparing them in our classrooms right now with 21st century skills.
Well said. All right, Jeremiah, you've had quite the year. I mean, you got awarded the prize by Hugh Jackman, which I think is pretty cool. And me, less cool. So tell us how this has changed your life, but more importantly, as I know you so well, how has this really helped accelerate your vision and your energy for entrepreneurialism and ambition and helping your community and the world?
First of all, thanks to Chegg and also the Vaki Foundation. I think the most important thing about this whole prize is the fact that the world is now acknowledging how much as students we contribute in our local communities. For far too long, many young people are doing amazing things out there. We're not doing it for recognition, but then if the world is now coming together and celebrate us, I think that's the first and most important thing that the whole prize is about, and that's how I really feel. The fact that there are like 3,500 students have been celebrated, we've been highlighted for what we're doing in our community is very much priceless. On a personal level, since I've won this award, I've been going from one level to another. It's all about growth. I've met a lot of people. I've had a lot of engagement. And more importantly, too, most of the people that we are nominated, we also brainstorming, trying to collaborate on what we can work together, how we can connect the different projects we're working on to see how we can transfer skills, resources, etc. But then, in as much as we have all these amazing ideas, one of the most important challenge that we are faced with is access to resource and financial support. In as much as all these amazing ideas, there are all these amazing startups coming from all the corners, be it from Sierra Leone, Nigeria, South Africa. If we don't have like the financial support and access to those resources that we need to scale them up, we'll just be like any other entrepreneur that will come, then they disappear within the next few years. So if we can have like the resource, the support, and also the policies to create like an enabling environment for us to function will be very much amazing. Already, some of us are operating under the most challenging environment that an entrepreneur can find themselves. Policies don't support us. Access to resources is not easy to come by. So if those things can be considered, I think we can be able to compete with any entrepreneur that is found around the globe.
Well, Keishia and Jeremiah, I have learned so much from both of you. Probably the most practical thing is that money needs to be considered an investment, not a one-size-fits-all, that teachers need the freedom to actually work around the policies on occasion to be able to serve their constituencies and communities.
Be able to create and innovate.
Create and innovate. And with that, I would say, I think you can see why I feel blessed to have been one of the group of people that were able to support Keishia and Jeremiah on their incredible journeys to help others and to build community and to build success. So let's thank them and congratulate them.